Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So I missed last week's update, so I'm going to sort of talk about 2 weeks, but sort of the patterns are about the same. So when we're looking at numbers, in terms of Georgetown in the last week, we saw 12 sales, which is refreshing because we did have, even last week, we only had 5 sales. So our sales were really not strong through the start of February. It seemed to have really dropped off there. So to see 12 sales in Georgetown in the last week is very exciting. And hopefully that means that we are going to start to see things getting busier through March. The bad news is that we had 17 new listings. So the new listings just aren't slowing down and they are historically high. I do not remember the last time we've seen this amount of new listings hitting the market. Last week we only had 12 and I thought, okay, maybe we'll be in for a blip. But then this week we're seeing 17. And so it's still just a lot of inventory and, yeah, I mean, inventory is rising because we are seeing a lot more houses come on than sales. So not traditionally what we see in February and not super great news for sellers who, are used to the market being really hot right now. So in Acton this week, we had 1 sale and 3 new listings. So again, we have more listings coming on than sales. Last week, we did see 3 sales and 1 new listing. So there was a bit of a gap there and inventory is still sitting low in Acton, but yeah, 3 new properties on the market last week in Acton. Glen Williams for the last 2 weeks has seen no sales and no new listings. The rural market has seen no sales and 1 new listing every week. So we're not seeing a ton come on in the rural market, but we are seeing virtually nothing moving in the rural market. So one of the things we've sort of been talking about is how our higher price point properties are selling. So something to note from last week, there was 13 sales in total in Halton Hills. Of those 13, 7 were over $1 million. So we still saw more than half of the properties that sold over the $1 million mark. We are seeing a weird amount of higher end listings, I'll call it higher end listings selling than we are the lower price point, which is definitely a shift. I mean, you remember last year, we could not sell something over $1 million. It was such a struggle. And so that's sort of an interesting trend. It could have something to do with the fact that you can now get an insured mortgage between 1 and 1.5 million when you couldn't before, but still just a little bit odd. And I'm still surprised that we're not seeing more heat and fuel in our lower price point markets yet. It's just weird. Anyways, and when we're looking at properties that are terminating, relisting, stuff like that, we only had 3 properties that relisted at a lower price last week. So it's not like a crazy amount of people that are dropping their price, but we are still seeing price reductions trickling through. And then the odd properties coming off the market still. I think that may start to increase because I mean, people aren't getting the numbers that they were hoping for. So we're going to be watching sort of if that starts to increase as our market inventory starts to go up. We'll see. So looking at active inventory. So 2 weeks ago, when I did my last update, we were at 141. Last week we went to 146 and this week we're up to 152. So we are seeing a gradual climb in terms of our active inventory. Within that, Georgetown is up from that we were at 86 2 weeks ago to 92, and now we're at 94. So you can sort of see that gradual climb that we're seeing. It's not sort of the pile on that we sometimes see, but week to week, if we're adding on 5 listings, we get a couple months down the road and our inventory is going to be sitting very high. We really need to start to see sales pick up here. Looking at our price points, under 800,000 is down slightly from 11 to 10 active listings. We did see quite a few condo townhouses move in the last few weeks, so that kind of explains the softening in that price point. 800 to $1 million remained the same this week at 22 active listings. We are seeing the majority of our listings coming on are over that $1 million, but majority of sales are over that $1 million. So we're just seeing a little bit more movement in $1 million plus. So things are stable between 800 and $1 million. And I do know, especially the bungalows around the Delrex area are getting good activity in that pocket. So, I suspect at some point this is going to start to pick up, but right now it just isn't hot. 1 to 1.5 million is up from 32 to 34 active listings, and that price point is always a struggle for us. It's really where we sit with our inventory, and it really starts to pile on, but we're still only at 34, which is a far cry from the 60 we saw last year. So let's just hope that we continue to see movement in that pocket as properties come on the market. 1.5 million plus is up from 27 to 28 active listings. There's a ton of stuff available. I do think a lot of those properties are overpriced. There's just a lot of them that have been there for a long time, but in my opinion, they're just trying to fetch way too high for what our market is currently giving. So I don't think we're going to continue to see a lot of movement in the 1.5 plus. When I'm talking about those sales that are over 1 million, it's almost like always 1 to 1.3, 1.4. We are seeing the odd like $2 million sale, but it's really not the majority of them. The majority is under that 1.3 mark, but it's still a shift where we just haven't seen a lot moving in that pocket. So we'll continue to watch. In Acton this week, we're up from 7 to 10 active listings. It's still not a lot in Acton, but things are really not busy there. Glen Williams remained the same at 4, and the rural market is up slightly from 43 to 44 active listings. Tons of stuff available in the rural market. We're still sitting at very high numbers there, but like I said, the higher price point stuff really is not moving that quickly. The majority of the rural properties are over 1.5 million, so it's no surprise that we are seeing a lot less move out there. So overall, I mean, it's good that we're seeing sales pick up. The bad news is we're just seeing inventory far exceeding where our sales are. So that is just going to continue to increase our overall inventory. And this is just the time of year where we're usually feeling a shortage of inventory. We are heavy into bidding wars. We're seeing our pricing going up into March. And I do think our average price, again, because of how many sales we're seeing over 1 million, I do think we're going to see it pulled up. But we're not seeing prices like skyrocket the way they normally would at this time of year. And it is a little bit odd. I just think there's so many people that need and or are thinking about selling their house, and they're coming on the market, and it really keeps our market from getting super hot when this many houses are coming on. So next week we'll have February's numbers. We'll see how those wash out. I don't think they're going to be anything amazing, but prices may be up because, you know, it is an average and we have been seeing a lot of sales. I'm really curious to see how March goes because that's usually like a hot month, and I just don't know that we're going to get there this year. So we'll have to see what happens. So I will be back next week. Have a great week, everyone.